Hi everyone, this is Peter Schiff, and it is Tuesday, May 18th, 2010. And I wanted to take an opportunity today just to update my supporters on the status of my Senate campaign. The convention is coming up this Friday. And here in Connecticut, remember, it's a two-part process. We have a convention and a primary. The primary is not going to be held until August. The key for me is going to be to get at least 15% of the delegates so that I can be on that primary ballot for August. If for some reason I don't get 15%, then I'm going to need to collect about 12 or 14,000 signatures in order to qualify for the ballot by signature and bypass the convention. Now, I think that I'm going to have the 15%. Hopefully I'll have quite a bit more than that. We'll see. And I'm hopeful that once we get on the convention floor, that I can convince the delegates that I am the candidate that they should nominate, that I am the candidate most likely to beat Dick Blumenthal, if he doesn't beat himself, and more importantly, that I'm the candidate most likely to make a difference. Now, as far as what my supporters can do to help me, still number one, we need more contributions. Contributions are key because they enable me to fund the campaign, particularly the media. You know, I had initially thought that I had paid for a second round of television commercials, and I guess I had been mistaken. And because I hadn't quite raised the money that I needed, I decided to pull that second round of television commercials and produce a third radio spot instead, just so I can manage my cash flow into the convention. I had enough money to pay for those TV ads. It was about another $500,000, but I didn't want the cash on hand to be that low going into the convention. So I would have rather build up a bigger war chest so that I have a stronger balance sheet going into the convention, and more importantly, coming out of the convention. I certainly intend to go back up on TV again after the convention is over and I resume the campaign in the primary. But I need to raise a lot more money. Now, I know I've raised money from quite a few people. I've raised money from, I think, over 20,000 people, which is more than all my other opponents combined. But unfortunately, I need a lot more money than that. I need the people who have already donated to my campaign to step it up a notch and donate some more. And I need the people who, for whatever reason, haven't donated to donate. You know, I've donated personally now, just to clear it up so everybody knows, I've donated $550,000 personally. And I am willing to donate more, but I need to have the support of other people so that I know that my donations are going to make a difference. You know, I'm not in this campaign to waste my money, and I don't want to waste any of my supporters' money. I want to win this Senate seat, and I think I can do it. You know, hopefully we'll get a victory, and it looks like we will, for Rand Paul in Kentucky. I think that's the most interesting Senate race going on right now. It's the one where I am most concerned. All of you probably know, or most of you, that I was a big supporter and still am of Rand's father, Ron Paul. In 2008, I acted as an economic advisor on his campaign. Not that Ron needed any economic advice, but I certainly tried my best to bring his name out and to help fundraise. And I was very glad to see Rand Paul running. And, you know, it looks like he is going to win. I mean, initially, it looked like, you know, the establishment, you know, was all against him. All the big Republicans, mainstream Republicans, Mitch McConnell, and others had come down in favor of Trey Grayson. He was the establishment guy, but Ron Paul got the attention and the motivation of the Tea Party. Dick Cheney, that's the guy I was trying to think of. And the Tea Party, and eventually, you know, he's doing a great job. His campaign did a great job, and he's going to win. Hopefully, once Rand Paul, you know, wins that nomination, we can pay a little bit more attention to the race here in Connecticut. I think I also have a great chance of winning. Like Rand in Kentucky, I've got the support of the Tea Party movement here in Connecticut. Last week, I got endorsed, I think it was last week or the week before, by the New Haven Tea Party. This afternoon, I was endorsed by the Tea Parties in Greenwich and in Hartford. Those are the three main Tea Party groups in Connecticut. In addition, I won endorsements from several other grassroots and conservative organizations within the state of Connecticut. I pretty much think all the grassroots politically active in the Republican Party or for limited governments, they're all embracing my campaign. And I think that's where this movement is starting. We'll see how this convention turns out, if I can sway more of the more mainstream in the Republican Party that they need to follow the Tea Party, follow the grassroots, and break away from the leadership and break away from the status quo. You know, if Rand can do it in Kentucky, Peter Schiff can do it in Connecticut. But as I said, I can't do it alone. I need your help. And also, it looks like I'm getting help from my likely Democratic opponent, Dick Blumenthal. You know, if some of you haven't heard the news, there was a New York Times story, front page story today. There's all kinds of chatter now about Dick Blumenthal, who is the Attorney General in the state of Connecticut, the likely Democratic nominee who everybody believed was invincible in the Senate run. He's now looking quite a bit vulnerable. Now, I've always maintained that I thought that he would fall from grace, that there were a lot of problems, skeletons that would come out of his closet, and he hasn't even secured the nomination, and he's got himself into a bad situation with statements that he made regarding his service or lack of service in the Vietnam War. Apparently, on numerous occasions, and even in a press conference today, Dick Blumenthal admitted that on numerous occasions he misspoke with respect to his service in Vietnam. The fact of the matter is, he did not serve in Vietnam. He was in the Marine Reserves at the time. Other people were serving in Vietnam, but he was stateside in a National Guard type position. And that followed 5 consecutive deferments where he avoided service in Vietnam. And it wasn't until he ran out of deferments that he joined the National Guard as the only way he could think of to stay out of Vietnam. Now, I don't blame the Attorney General for not wanting to go to Vietnam, for doing whatever he could to avoid military combat. After all, a lot of other people did. I'm sure many of the Americans who served in Vietnam would have preferred to have been in the reserves back in Washington, D.C. So my problem isn't that he didn't serve. My problem is that he lied about his service. And I think it's just second nature to him. I mean, he said he misspoke. That's what politicians always do when they get caught in a lie. They claim they misspoke. Well, if you deliberately misspeak, that's a lie. You know, if Dick Blumenthal is giving a speech in front of a veteran group and he says, when I served in Vietnam, when those words are coming across his lips, he knows he wasn't in Vietnam. He knows he didn't serve there. He knows that that can create a misconception, even if he didn't mean to say it. Why didn't he correct himself? And if he did it several times, it obviously is something that's deliberate. Just because he didn't lie on every occasion doesn't mean it's okay if he lies on a few occasions when he thinks it's politically expedient. You know, probably one of the reasons that Dick Blumenthal lied is because that's what politicians do. They tell so many lies that sometimes they can't even differentiate them from the truth themselves. That is the problem with politics. People will say anything to get elected. And they generally tailor their message to their audience. So if Dick Blumenthal is talking to a group of veterans, it makes sense to pretend that he's among them, that he served in a war, even if he didn't. And obviously this is going to be a very difficult hurdle for the Attorney General to overcome in the general election. I think it is going to result in him taking a significant hit in the polls, and it shows that he is a much more vulnerable candidate than people thought. And as time goes by, I think he has continued to lose popularity as more and more people find out the truth about Dick Blumenthal. So if anybody isn't supporting my campaign because they think it's a waste of money, because they believe the headlines that I can't beat Dick Blumenthal, believe me, I can beat him. And I think I can beat my 2 Republican rivals for the Republican nomination. I just need your help. I need help with volunteers. I need people making phone calls. I need people making contributions. People need to make their own contributions, and they need to encourage their friends. Anyway, the video just skipped, so I apologize for that. I'd rather not do a whole new one, so take care for now. That's it.